Welcome everyone, Mark Buffa here, your favorite YouTuber, and we're going to do something a little bit different today, a little bit more of a podcast style interview. We've got Doene Moos from Storm Bowling Products with us. He was getting a bit hot in Indianapolis, so he decided to brave the cold and come up to Canada, right?
Yeah, I forgot how cold it is up here. Oh, jeez. It's
Good
brutal.
stuff. So today's format is just going to be basically unscripted and
just like the Joe Rogan show.
There you go. Well, maybe better, right?
There we go.
Yeah, probably not. All right, so for those of you who probably don't know Doene Moos, or maybe you do know him because he's been in the industry for way too long. I've known you since probably I was 15 years old.
Oh, you're younger than that, buddy.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit what got you into the industry and kind of tell us your story getting into where you're at today.
Well, my personal history, my father loved bowling, and my dad was actually one of the better bowlers up in our area. My father owned a bakery, and there's a bowling center about 3 blocks away, and I'd walk over there with him and I'd bowl. And so it's been part of my life forever. I've always had a passion for it. When I was in high school, I played every sport there was, but I've always stuck to bowling. I was fortunate enough to get some scholarships to go to college. Grew from there, and I've always wanted to work in the industry.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to college 2 years at Vincennes and then 2 years in Nebraska.
Okay, yeah.
And so we were rivals.
Boo, Nebraska.
Yeah. It was quite an experience. You know how it was in college. You know, these people, you've met them and you know them for years, and it's like you don't see them for 10 years like it was yesterday. So it was really cool. But I've always wanted to be in the industry, and I've always felt I've been a student of, you know, trying to learn our sport.
Right.
I used to drill bowling balls and I was rather young, and the guys who worked with me, you know, we were always trying to theorize about, you know, weight holes and balls and covers and sanding them, and we always tried screwy stuff. I mean, it was uncommon to walk out in the lanes with an LT48 sanding with a 180 just to see what it would do. I mean, so we always experimented that way. It's just like when you got a ball, the first thing we did, we played at the cover to see what it would do when you serviced them. So that
Did you ever own any pro shops?
Actually, I did a little while in Southern California. It was to keep me busy when I wasn't repping, in a way.
Right.
So it wasn't really, you know, for say like a true business it was, you know. But
so today you're with Storm, but where did you start out?
Well, I started out, actually, I worked for one of the booths at the ABC tournament. It was ABC at the time. I started in Toledo, worked for a pro shop that sold hammer equipment.
Okay.
And I met a gentleman named Brian Purcell. He took me under his wing. He hired me into working with him. And then from there, he basically walked me into Ebonite. I had a chance to work with some pretty sharp people there.
Right.
And learned quite a bit about R&D and things like that. It was rather interesting.
Nice.
And then,
well, my first memory of you was when you were with AMF at the time.
Yes.
I remember you came to our trade show and you shot 300 using a black Nighthawk, and yeah, that was when he still bowled and he was an athlete, right? So it was. I remember that. It marked my life when you bowled 300 at Laurentian lanes on like lane 52 or something.
Oh, that was just fun.
Yeah, that was
I'll never forget that.
Ago.
Oh my God, that brings back a memory.
Yeah, that was probably the last time you threw a bowling ball.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just after Custer's last stands. It was a while ago, but I remember that as plain as day because I was teasing. Brian Graham was working for Columbia at the time, and we're bowling, and he shoots, I forgot what it was the first game, like 250, and I shot 270. I backed it up with 300, and he shot 279. He says, I can't, he's just giving me crap. He couldn't get around me, so ended up shooting 800 for the three. It was fun.
So you've been with Storm since
2000.
Since 2000.
Yeah, it's
but you're only 35. How does that?
Maybe 135.
Yeah.
They're a great company. Really, that saying you hear, working with a family, and it truly is that family feeling. You feel at home. The guys are very progressive. And so if you're a bowling junkie, it's really the place you want to be.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because, you know, we're always trying to innovate something. We're always trying to take a step forward. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's excellent.
Well, I've been around you guys for a long time. You know, I used to be a Storm staffer myself back in my heyday. And, you know, working with you at the High Roller and the Mini Eliminator and all that stuff. And,
whoa.
And then, maybe we'll get into that story, right? Slim, if you're watching, maybe we'll get into that. The synergy that you guys have as a team, as a working environment, is inspiring. You know, we try to do the same here at Buffa Distribution here in Montreal, and it's nice to see. Like when I came out to see you guys in Utah and seeing how everybody meshes well together, it's really awesome. So
it is, and it's so exciting because somebody comes with an idea and they hold a meeting, and you know, you hear people say, well, we had an idea, but it's sort of sitting off. No, it's exciting. I mean, when someone comes with an idea, we're on the whiteboard, we're writing information about it, and, you know, and trying to brainstorm, no pun intended, but it's very festering. I mean, it gets you very excited.
So let's talk about something maybe a little bit different here. Like, we've tried to up our game on the marketing side of things. You see our studio set up here, which is pretty cool. You know, we kind of drew inspiration from fellow YouTubers that are doing some stuff, but also, you know, you guys were probably the first ball company to actually have a dedicated staff to doing, you know, your YouTube videos and all that stuff. And you're just looking now, you were, if you looked on Storm's website, they were actually interviewing for another, you know, marketing team member. So,
yes.
So kind of walk us through, like, how many people are in that team, and maybe more behind the scenes of what that is. Like, a lot of people see what they're doing on Facebook and YouTube, but you see more behind the scenes. So like Tavio and all those guys, what's kind of going through their brains and where they want to take it?
Well, we have a guy who's dedicated into doing videos. Paul, that's all he focuses on is videos only. And Paul's got a very interesting background. He showed me a video. He was down in South Africa. He was shooting video as far as wildlife. He got a bug one night, and he wanted to shoot a video of the sky changing because they're in the middle of nowhere. Right. I mean, you hold up a candle and you can see it miles away. I mean, it's dark. So he took a little camera out there, and he was watching, you know, as far as the sky rotate. He was told not to be too far away from the campfire because obviously it's South Africa. It's right. You know, it's not very safe. Right. And so he says, luckily I didn't get attacked by a jackal or a hyena or attacked by a lion, but that sort of gives you, you know, his concept, because he took something instead of just shooting just a video of animals. He's seen an opportunity. So if you look at our videos are a lot different now than what they were 10 years ago. I mean, Paul definitely brings a lot to the table. Yeah. You know,
you got a lot of gadgets too. Like, it seems like you guys use like different gimbals or drones or whatever it seems in some videos. And then the time that you did that video up in Alaska, probably for the Northern Lights, like, awesome stuff, you know. So just thinking outside the box. And
yeah, I was gonna say that you can call him Go-Go Gadget. I mean, he's got all sorts of little tricks he uses. That's awesome. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. The Northern Lights aren't guaranteed to be out. Okay. Yeah, if they want to sleep that night, they're done.
Roll the dice.
They disappear. So when they flew up there, they were up there for a whole day, and there was nothing. Okay. You know, and that time of the year, your window for time for daylight is very narrow, and so there was no Northern Lights, and all of a sudden they're getting ready to pack up and come home, and the Northern Lights appeared. And that's when they shot the video. It was by sheer luck. They were actually, Tavio told me, they actually went over to a guy's house, and they were hanging out in there, you know, trying to stay warm, and all of a sudden they looked outside, and Tavio says, "We got to shoot now." So they go running down the pathway to where the lanes were, and they bowled. Nice. So it just happened like that. And it wasn't like they had a crew. It was just Danielle, Tavio, Paul, and they were up there shooting this. And so they brought the synthetic panels out, put the pins out. So every time she threw a shot, one would run down, they'd bring the ball back to her, set the pins up, and she'd throw again. So it was.
That wasn't you setting the pins?
No. I was back where it was a little bit warmer.
That's it. With your snow dogs, mush.
Yeah, they actually talked about taking snow dogs up there, but they ended up driving a van.
Nice.
So
awesome. So let's talk a little bit more bowling. I guess you know, people are watching this. They're probably, you know, Storm Nation fans. # Storm Nation. We get all kinds of requests, and probably you get more than us, about like re-releases, right? So like now we've got the High Road X, which is, you know, a newer version of the High Road, and then, you know, all these newer balls that are coming out from every manufacturer that are kind of going through these vintage phases. Let's look at one right now. So here's one that's part of my collection, and if ever you guys get a chance to come up to Montreal, I'll show you my ball collection. So here I've got a brand spanking new Sunstorm. So this is probably something that you guys get asked quite a bit, like, hey, why aren't you re-releasing this, and, you know, why doesn't it react like my original? So let's kind of touch base a little bit on that.
Well, before you go a step further, let's take a look at the really unique part of the ball. Okay. This isn't actually a Storm ball, it's a High Score Products. This was actually Storm's original name was High Score Products. So what you have is a gem. Okay. This is quite a rarity. But this cover stock was Storm's first venture. Now, I don't even think it's Kirlon 2. I want to say it was Kirlon. This is way before my time. Yeah. But this was basically like a light bulb wrapped around the resin. And
this two-piece construction, right?
Yeah, two-piece, yeah. So basically what you have, what I mean by that is you got the core, then you have the material wrapping around it. There's no filler.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is a very expensive ball to make.
And we also saw when I went to do the plant tour last year, all of the different relics of the different molds that Bill had, you know, like made out of wood or things like that. So it was pretty cool to actually see like the original mold for the Sunstorm weight block.
Cool,
It's pretty cool stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that, you know, even talking with Hank or with some of the guys in production, that they were saying like there's no way that they could reproduce this today just because of the fact that, one, the materials probably aren't available anymore.
Yep.
You know, just like anything, you guys deal with vendors for this type of stuff. You don't make
Yes.
your own resins, I'm guessing.
No.
You know, so some of those manufacturers have been, you know, long gone, right?
Yeah, this manufacturer, if my old mind reminds me, I think they were.
You want a coffee to wake you up?
Yeah, there you go. I think they were HK Products, and they were somewhere. I think they were out east. And this company, we've actually contacted them in the past to make a bit. They don't even make this resin no more.
Right.
This material can't even. And it's not even to the fact that sometimes that they don't want to make the material. With OSHA getting the new regulations and stuff, all of a sudden there's a chemical in there that doesn't quite meet their standards, and so instead of trying to redesign, they just get rid of it. So
Right.
this material is not even available anymore for whatever reason. Why? Who knows?
Yeah, you could probably get close to it, but not exactly. The
Yeah,
same
it'd be
way.
different. And also the way that we process bowling balls now. If you ask Dave Sims, he made a point in one of the seminars about 8 years ago that he spoke, and he says we're finally learning how to make bowling balls. And what I mean by that is our ratios as far as seconds and blems, we don't hardly make any. And it's not that we just throw them away, it's that our process of making bowling balls is beyond efficient where we were back in this day and age. This day and age, we've definitely made seconds and blems.
KFC buckets.
And pretty much. That's no lie. Yeah, Bill actually went on down and he bought a bunch of KFC buckets because the inside was waxed. And so when they wrecked them and put the resin in there, the resin wouldn't stick to the bucket, and they could easily pour it on out. So it's truly, and actually a few years ago, we gave him a bronzed KFC bucket just, you know, for the 25th anniversary. It was just, you know, something that's pretty cool.
Nice, good stuff.
Yeah.
We just celebrated our 25th trade show, so we did a limited edition IQ ball,
Yeah.
which was great. We sold out in like 5 hours. That was awesome. But it was great to work with you guys on that project. Very well received, obviously.
Oh, it was excellent.
And actually, I got an email yesterday from a friend that lives in California that was like, "Hey, I still would like to get my hands on one." I says, "Buddy, you're like 4 months late." You know, like forget it. So I got a 13-pounder still if you want, but that's about it. You know, so
The ball came out 4 months and 1 day ago. You missed by a day.
Yeah.
They sold out that
yeah.
day.
This is basically just an IQ. When we were talking about this, when I came down to Storm, here, let's swap.
It's a beautiful ball. Look at that color. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So when I came down to Storm to visit you guys, I try to do a yearly visit to all our manufacturers, and I said, hey, we want to do a private label ball, and this is basically the same ball as the 60th anniversary ball for the PBA, I
Yes.
think. The cover and the core combo was already tested and done and all that, so it was basically ready for us just to slap on a Buffa logo on it, and we were able to do a limited quantity, and it went extremely well. So anybody that's got a Buffa IQ, thank you. So hashtag Buffa IQ on that one, and just really great. So yeah, thanks again for helping us out with this.
Oh,
it was
much appreciated.
It was great. So you know, obviously Storm has been a great partner of ours since day one. What's cool also in my collection, I've got one of those 30 white balls that you guys sent out as the commemorative 30th anniversary balls to the 31st distributors. So I don't know which distributor we are, but I know that
They're all numbered.
Yeah.
They're all numbered on there as far as.
Yeah, I've got this little certificate.
Yep,
So that's.
yep.
So how many distributors worldwide does Storm work with?
Worldwide. Boy, I couldn't even
50
tell you.
plus? 50 less than 50?
All together is probably 60-ish.
Okay.
Because the distributors in the States are different as we know up between North America and overseas. I've had the chance to go over to Japan and do some events over there, and the distributors over in Asia are selected to one brand.
Correct.
That's all they sell is a brand.
So
And
you have like a Roto distributor and a Storm distributor? Or do
our-
most of your distributors do both?
and most distributors do both.
Right. So this is not for sale. Don't write us in the comments about this. So this was a special edition 30th anniversary ball.
Yep.
That Storm had sent out to 30 of their first distributors. It's got all the different logos on it. So here we see the Storm logo, see the Flying S, the Oval Bolt, and obviously
HSP.
the HSP logo on it. So pretty cool piece of memorabilia. I'm extremely happy to be one of the few.
You know, you made a mention a while ago, you know, being Buffa's 25th anniversary. If you look at all the distributors, you guys are young in the industry. You know, Storm is young in the industry. I mean, and to watch both our companies evolve, you know, it's pretty amazing.
Well, I know my father started out as the exclusive Colombian track distributor, and that's how we started out, you know, distributing the products for San Antonio. Maurice Boyer at the time was the Brunswick distributor, and then we had Mario in Quebec City that used to own the pro shop at Le Bonneuf.
Yes.
He was the Ebonite guy. You know, so I remember, if you ask my cousin Anthony when you go out and see him, he had a friend that owned a dry cleaner, and he would go, you know, get the guy's van, fill it up with balls, come back like a day later, and the guy like, I thought you just went to the grocery store or something, and he came back like with the van, you know, loaded up with balls, bringing it into the basement, because, you know, my dad started out in the basement of the house, so it was, you know, we've all got, you know, early Cinderella stories, right? Like
Absolutely.
It's just pretty cool, and you know, to hear Storms with, you know, the KFC buckets, and to hear my dad's stories and things like that, it's always heartwarming, you know. And you know, I myself, being in the business now for about 12, 13 years, it's pretty cool, you know, to talk to people that have these types of stories. You know, obviously, you know, we've got our own stories too, you know, but it's just it's awesome to hear those, you know. So
yeah, our stories aren't quite as cool as theirs, though. I mean, that's you're talking about starting a dream. You know, it's a dream, and then and then you have your dream, you have your inspiration, because your dream is what you think of it. Your inspiration is you get started in it, and you inspire to grow, and then you build yourself, you know, into a business. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, and that's a lot of hard work. It's sacrifice, you know, and you know, hearing some of the troubles that I know that Bill and Barbara went through starting their business is just very heartwarming. And for me, it's highly motivating. You know, seeing the struggles that, you know, they went through when they started their business.
And even at that, like, just since you're talking about that, Bill didn't even start out making balls.
No.
His first product was the You Clean, You Score.
Yes.
Right? So, you know, if you got dreams out there, anybody in YouTube town there, if you got some dreams, follow them and pivot if ever you need to. You know, like Storm is the perfect example of that. So
so is Buffa.
Definitely. Yeah. You know, we've made some changes over the times. You know, but we're lucky too. You know, we've got a lot of people that work for us in the company that have been with us for over 20 years. Juan's on his 28th year now, so it's awesome.
That's excellent.
So, but yeah, talking about stories, you know, I used to do sales calls with you a couple of years back, and we got some pretty good stories. You were mentioning off the air the story about going to New Brunswick, and
oh my God,
I was like, hey, we got to watch out for moose, and you're like, what? And then we see this big sign that it says, watch out for moose. Right? You're like, what the hell is that? I've never seen that before. So yeah. That was pretty cool.
I don't think the Tim Hortons will ever be the same after we left there at about midnight.
What was it again? It was a squeaking rat or something like that. What was the?
No, I said it was. They have an infestation of barking spiders.
Barking spiders. There.
She ran in the back and told the manager. He comes out there starting to look around underneath stuff, and I looked and said, "It's time to get out of here."
Yeah, good times. Yeah, like I said earlier, we had spent a lot of time in the past doing like all the Mega Buck events and stuff like that. You guys are still involved, right, with the TAT, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, we're still involved with TAT. You know,
what do I have to tell Brad in order to get, you know, be allowed to bowl in his tournament?
That's a good question. I don't have that answer for you. I guess we can actually.
I think I have one more year of ineligibility, then I can, you know.
Well, actually, it went back to the Williamses again. I know that Brad had it for a few years. He sold it back to him, and they're growing that tournament. I mean, not only do they have the big tournaments in Vegas, they're having satellite tournaments all across the country now.
Right.
And it is growing. They're doing such a great job with it.
And you're also very involved in military, right?
Yeah, and Brad is still highly involved in that.
Okay, so Brad Eldman's still...
Yeah, and that's sort of his forte now. He's got away from like the high rollers, and he's doing like military events and things along those lines, and he's really getting that business to grow a great deal.
Okay.
That's excellent.
Great. Also, you know, let's talk about a little bit the PBA. Jason's been phenomenal for you guys. How many player of the years he's won over the last 5-6 years?
Numerous.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll get in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. He's inevitably going to get in there.
But, you know, let's talk about fellow two-hander that's on your staff with Cal Trout.
Yeah.
Finished second at the World Cup a couple months ago. Racked up a couple medals at the World Championships last week. Feel like he's coming into not just the persona of the guy with the afro, but actually now backing it up with some solid performances. And you were telling me off the air as well that he's just a down to earth type of guy.
Oh, he's excellent.
Yeah. So what do you think of like some of these new up and coming kids on the pro tour, like Kyle and Marshall and AJ Johnson and some of these guys? Like what's your take on them versus the veterans on the Storm Pro staff?
It's interesting. This might take a minute or so to personify this. Remember, we were talking a few years ago, and you were telling me when you graduated college, with computer science degree, and you told me that kids that graduated 4 years after you are at a different level.
Right.
They're just, these young kids that are coming out of school, they're just a different breed. And what I mean by that, with no disrespect at all, is that they have YouTube to educate themselves. Everything now is built to a science.
Right.
So you talk about the rule of 31. And now we talk about oil. They talk about topography. Back when I first started repping on tour, topography was just being talked about. The rule of 31 was, used a little bit, but not very much. Right. The kids come out today out of school, and they're evolved into that position to go out and start competing. When I graduated college, to compete, you still had to cut your teeth, bowl the megabucks or bowl regionals. The kids come out of college now and they're educated in the sport. Where back then is just when you came out of school, it's like, well, you have an idea, but now you need to basically just beat your head against the wall and learn.
Right.
And hope to God that somebody will put their arm around you and start tooling you. And the whole thing was to earn the touring players' respect. And you see all the young rookies come on out, and you'd watch Norman, those guys, they keep an eye on them, and if they thought they had a good image or they're going to be around for a while, they sort of prove themselves, and they would start, giving them some advice and helping them a little bit and tootle them. Now these kids come out and they're educated. I mean, they're smart. They understand. They have a game plan. When they walk out, they just don't walk, well, I think no. They know where they're going to start. They have an idea what kind of surface they're going to use. They have a game plan, and they have backup already.
I remember a couple of years ago at one of my last team trials, one of the kids had just missed making the team, and he had averaged something like 205. I was talking with the parents, and they were like, oh, well, this year's scores were too high, the patterns were too soft, and yada, yada. And I remember my first team that I made in 2004 barely needed to average 200 to make the top 6.
I was watching that. I remember that.
And now you need to average like 210, 210 to make the top 6 or even medal in some of these events. Like if you watched the World Championships last week, scores were pretty high for the leaders. And it's not because of the equipment, it's not because of that, it's because of preparation. Agreed. Like a lot of the bowlers now come in and they're ready. I remember back in 2004, that was like the first time we had the long and the short patterns. And you probably remember this as well as I do. As soon as the short patterns came, everybody thought, oh, it's dry. So I need something really high RG, really shiny, and I'm gonna just hook the bejesus out of it, like just hook the whole lane. And then all of a sudden, from what I remember, early 2000s, Remy Ong just absolutely mauls them at one of the Asian championships using an old urethane tank.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, everybody on that side of the world starts dominating on short because they start like going into their stock rooms and getting like old crushes from Ebonite or old U-dots or things of that nature. And then all of a sudden, now everybody starts jumping on that bandwagon. And then all of a sudden, you guys come out with like the natural pearl and now pitch black. And if you watch a lot of these guys that are either very heavy-handed or anytime something's around the ditch, what's in play? Urethane.
Yeah.
So today we now have better pieces of the puzzle that can fit different patterns properly. And now, like you said, education with a lot of these kids, or not just kids, but just bowlers in general. Sure. Now, because of just general education, they know what to use, when to use it. That automatically just increases your score.
Agree.
Right?
Agree.
So again,
and also they have tools to work with. They, how it was when back in the 90s is you just learned how to throw it just one way.
Yeah, there was no video, there was no training centers, Kegel didn't exist.
No. Norm was unique because he could throw it straight, he could hook it. Brian Voss was the same way. Petey was like that. I mean, they were unique because they had multiple tools in their bag, and it made them tough to beat. Everybody that comes out of school now, they have those tools. Yeah. I know when I first started repping on tour, Robert Smith went out. And Robert Smith was known as one of the greater amateurs at that time. He was really good. Yeah. But he got out there and he was overhitting it, and he was trying to create the ball, do things he couldn't do because he was able to do it in a house pattern. And he had to sit down, rethink his game plan, how he attacked lanes, and he did some altercations on his game. Then all of a sudden, he was highly competitive.
Oh yeah, I remember watching him with firepower in his hands and all
with his funny little grip.
Yeah, And then just actually, if you check on YouTube, if you get a chance, the World Team Challenge where he's bowling with the Team USA guys, and he's got a blue dot and he's playing like 15 to 5 and just trying to. It's insane, right?
The first time I got to see him play in person was out in Cal Bowl. It was 1995. The year before that, he made the show or made a run for the show. I can't remember. The locals were expected to make a show, and he was throwing a shiny urethane ball. I can't remember what it was, but he was crowbarring it, playing right up the gutter. I mean, and just wrecking it.
Yeah, he could throw it fast.
Yeah, he threw it hard, and he eliminated the first 20 feet of the lane. He just threw it to the spots, and it was impressive watching him bowl. I'm thinking, man, this.
Where's he at now? He's in Cali, or is he back in Hong Kong?
I heard he's in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I heard that he's involved in a pro shop. I'm not sure, but I just, you know how you hear here.
Well, Robert, if you're watching, shoot us up. Come back to our show. Montreal Open 2019, maybe.
I think he's actually on staff with 900 Global.
Yeah. Well, he came 2 years ago, I think, to our show.
Yes,
at
he
Volta.
did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Well, actually, I have one of his autographed balls upstairs, so yeah, pretty cool. Maximum Bob.
Maximum Bob.
Yeah, good stuff.
He'd grab a handful of it.
Yeah. So, anything you want to say maybe about the product line, where it's going in the future? What's you want to give anybody a little insight of what's coming up? Or?
Well,
I know you can't, but
I can't say much. You know, it's just. But I will say that the word evolve is one thing we focus on. We don't just have one cover. I mean, we have multiple base covers, and then plus all the other. You know, so we have a lot of diversity in our line, and we've worked exceptionally hard on developing our covers. We always have stuff in the mix, still testing, looking to come out. We do R&D different. I will tell you this much. I can let this out of the bag. The crux. When I was working in the office in Utah, that ball was being designed then. 2 years later, it comes out. Right. So that gives you the idea as far as how long it takes for us to produce a ball in R&D. We just don't throw it out there and wrap resin on it and say, well, here you go. Nice box and a bow on it. And it goes through rigorous R&D. I mean, so we test it.
Do you have the magnet tested for you?
The magnet does test it sometimes.
No,
So
that's
kidding. But our R&D is very stringent. It's something. All the other companies deal with not consumer products, but they have mods, they have capital, you know, they have lane oils, we just do bowling balls and bags and accessories, but we focus on bowling balls, and that's what we focus on. We focus on making the best bowling balls in the world, period.
So let's, since you're talking about building bowling balls, maybe it's not known in outside of the industry, but Bill Chrisman did buy part of 900 Global's plant in San Antonio.
Yeah, he bought in the manufacturing.
Yeah. So what's some of the synergies that has brought into to Storm Products? So they're not affiliated to Storm Products, but they kind of help with production, from what I understand.
What we do is we buy tropicals from them.
Okay.
So we have to pay them to make the tropical balls, and that helps us able to focus on making
the high performance stuff.
The high performance stuff, and so that's
even the urethanes. No, come from San Antonio.
The urethanes come from San Antonio. The lines that we have in Utah are designed to push resin.
Right.
It's not designed to push urethane. And when Storm was built, if you think about it, urethane was just on the verge of being sort of, I wouldn't say extinct, but being pushed aside. And resin was the new great thing coming in. Right. And so when that plant was designed, it was designed around the fact of producing resin bowling balls.
Right. Because the Teal Storm was one of the first reactive balls, because it came out around the same week as the Excalibur, right?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Yeah,
that was all poured by hand. That was all hand poured stuff.
That's awesome.
And Bill took me one time around, and it choked me up an awful lot. I love the company, and you know, so I wake up in the morning, it's Storm in the afternoon, Storm in the evening, and that's how I live my life. And so I love the company. He was kind enough to give me a ride one day and took me over to the plant that Storm originally had. And what they did is they rented out an old schoolhouse. They had a loading dock there, and he showed me that, and they poured everything by hand. And you look at this little building and thinking, those doors right there, when you walk down through it, you think in 1994 that they thought that they would be where they are now. Yeah. I mean, and
even last year, you guys added a wing to your building, right, for the warehouse.
We certainly did.
Yeah.
And
so just keep growing and growing, and
like I said,
there's more land behind the building too, so it's not done, right?
Yeah. I keep on saying the word evolve. and we keep on thinking of evolve. I like to think as far as like storm being like a cocoon. Inside a cocoon, you have, you know, something developing and growing. We are evolving, and we continue to evolve. We always try and better yourself. I mean, if every morning you wake up, if you don't think you can better yourself, then you need to move on.
Yep.
So we use that principle in the company. We always look to better ourselves. So it's not like we made bad bowling balls 10 years ago. We just want to try and make them better, either performance, durability, or whatever it is. We always try to evolve and make it better.
Great. So who's your mentor at work? Hank, Dave?
I got a group of guys that I look up to. I look up to Hank, I look up to Dave, Corbett. He has a really unique view as far as how he runs his team.
How many employees at Storm?
There's about 130 with everybody.
Nice. And you're probably the oldest?
I'm a fossil. I think I was only one of the water Custer's horse before he took off the little bighorn. I don't know. It could be.
That's awesome. Basically, anybody that's watching, where can they find you next? Obviously, we're not just catering to Canada here on YouTube. It's
well,
just,
next.
So what area do you cover in the States?
I cover Minnesota. I cover half of South Dakota, all of Iowa. I cover half of North Dakota. I cover all of Wisconsin, all of Michigan, northern Indiana, and northern Illinois. That's my area. Then I got it looks like I'm going to have like from Alberta all the way out to where we can go fishing out east out here.
Okay, so. Yeah, right. Ice fishing. All right, so yeah, so make sure to check out Storm's Facebook page and also their YouTube page. You've got a fan page as well.
Yeah.
Doene Moos Storm Nation.
Yep, Doene Storm Nation Moos, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. So make sure you check that out. And yeah, so again, Doene, thanks for taking the time with us today.
It's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
we have a lot of history together and a lot of fun stories, and we always have a good time.
Yeah. So hopefully, if you guys enjoy this, make sure you give a nice big thumbs up to this video. Also, make sure to subscribe to us, and next time we got an invite, we'll do the same thing. So again, Doene, thanks for taking the time with us today.
It's always a pleasure.
And make sure to bowl up a storm and hashtag own it.
Hashtag Storm Nation.
There you go. So again, thanks to everybody at Storm for allowing us to have Doene with us for the last 15, 20 years repping on us. So again, always a pleasure, brother, and looking forward to seeing you next time.
Absolutely.
All right,
May
everybody, that's it. See you guys in May.
Peace
Take
out.
care. See ya.